You know, something rather curious occurs when you start to awaken, when you stop taking the game so intensely, when you perceive the profound cosmic jest underlying it all. You become, how to phrase it, a nuisance. You become an annoyance to those still deeply slumbering, those clinging desperately to their roles, their disguises, their meticulously crafted notions of self. It's not that you intend to trouble anyone. Quite the contrary. You are simply existing, breathing, moving through existence with a certain buoyancy, a certain liberation. But that very liberty, that very serenity you carry, it stirs something within others. It shakes their cages, and they lack the awareness of why. Have you observed this phenomenon? You enter a space with complete composure, radiating genuine friendliness, and someone regards you as if you've just grievously offended their entire lineage. You haven't uttered a syllable. You've committed no transgression, yet your mere presence appears to trigger an unseen alarm within their nervous systems. What is transpiring here? Why does your tranquility provoke such unease in them? Why does your disinclination to engage in social charades elicit such peculiar responses? Well, allow me to illuminate the true nature of this situation. Upon awakening, upon seeing through the illusion of the isolated individual, upon ceasing identification with the ego and its incessant demands, you transform into a reflective surface, and mirrors, as you are aware, can be profoundly unsettling objects. They reveal to individuals what they actively wish to avoid. This isn't due to your judgment, nor is it an attempt to inflict distress, but simply because your mode of existence has fundamentally shifted. You are no longer adhering to the established conventions, and this causes the egos of others significant consternation. Therefore, let us explore the 5 primary ways in which individuals' egos will react to your spiritual awakening. This is not for the purpose of fostering a sense of superiority. Mind you, that would merely signify the surreptitious re-entry of your own ego through a back door, but rather to foster understanding of the dynamics at play. This understanding enables you to respond with empathy rather than bewilderment. It empowers you to continue on your chosen path without being derailed by these reactions. When you cease defending yourself, when you forego justifying your decisions, when you simply state a negative without offering an extensive preamble, a peculiar consequence arises. People become agitated. They demand justifications. They insist that you demonstrate a valid rationale for your chosen way of life. You see, the ego relishes judgment. It delights in assessment, in comparison, in determining whether another's choices align with its own approval. And when you decline to participate in this game, when you refuse to subject your life to scrutiny, the ego feels deprived. It perceives your actions as impolite, unjust, even presumptuous. However, here lies the fundamental truth. You are not obligated to provide anyone with an explanation for your existence. You require no authorization to simply be. You need not validate your inner peace, your life choices, or your manner of navigating the world. When you were once asleep, you likely expended considerable energy attempting to elicit comprehension from others, striving to prove the rectitude of your living. But you have now transcended that trap. You have come to realize that no amount of explanation will ever satiate the ego's insatiable appetite for control. Consequently, what transpires? Individuals become irked. They impute that you perceive yourself as superior. They contend that you have become aloof, cold, and unapproachable. Yet, you have not undergone the alteration they imagine. You have simply ceased to perform. You have discontinued auditioning for a role in their personal dramas. And the remarkable aspect is, There is no necessity to contest this. You need not defend your refusal to defend yourself. A simple smile, perhaps, and then you continue on your way, much like water flowing past a steadfast rock. The rock may protest vociferously, but the water persists in its course. The second point, they will endeavor to test your authenticity. This is a rather intriguing phenomenon. When individuals sense that you have attained something, some measure of tranquility or insight that eludes them, they often feel compelled to test it. It's akin to telling someone you are unperturbed by a particular matter, and they immediately attempt to agitate you precisely regarding that very issue. They probe, they prod, they utter statements designed to provoke a response. The reason for this behavior? The ego within them seeks to invalidate your perceived attainment. It desires to demonstrate that beneath your placid demeanor, you are as fraught with anxiety, as prone to reaction, as ensnared as they are. If they can provoke you to falter, to lose your composure, to retaliate, then they can dismiss what you embody. They can revert to their slumber with a sense of validation. You may find individuals resurrecting past disputes, referencing issues known to have previously upset you, orchestrating scenarios intended to trigger your sensitivities. A colleague might abruptly commence a barrage of criticism regarding all your endeavors. A family member might broach that one subject that invariably ignited conflict. A companion might offer commentary, suggesting you have transformed, that you are no longer jovial, that you either take yourself too seriously or not seriously enough. And here's the wondrous element of this situation. If you react, if you become defensive, angry, or distressed, the ego emerges victorious. It can then declare, "You see, I knew it. You aren't genuinely at peace. You are merely feigning it." Conversely, if you do not react, if you maintain your composure and your presence, their ego becomes even more vexed because it can no longer dismiss you. It is now compelled to confront the distinct possibility that what you possess might indeed be genuine. So, what course of action do you adopt? You permit them to test. You allow them to probe and prod, not with the intention of proving anything, but because you are no longer genuinely perturbed. You have seen through the illusion. You recognize that their testing is merely a manifestation of their own apprehension, their ego's effort to safeguard itself from the prospect of change. The third point, they will engage in rumor-mongering and fabricate narratives about you. When you cease participating in the relentless drama of social interactions, when you discontinue gossip, refrain from complaining, and abandon the games of allegiance and betrayal, something noteworthy occurs. You yourself become the subject of gossip. Individuals will construct stories about you. They will assert that you believe yourself to be superior to everyone else. They will claim you have become peculiar, detached, excessively spiritual, or ungrounded. They will question what is amiss with you, what precipitated such a divergence, and they will discuss these matters covertly, weaving elaborate theories and explanations for your conduct. Why does this phenomenon manifest? Because the ego necessitates a framework for comprehension. When an individual deviates from established norms, the ego within others experiences discomfort. It requires categorization, labeling, and confinement within a comprehensible schema. And if it cannot locate a fitting designation, it will fabricate one. Typically, this fabricated category will portray you as flawed, foolish, or misguided. You might learn through intermediaries that people are speculating about a mental breakdown you've experienced, that you are merely going through a phase, or that you have joined some unconventional spiritual commune. The narratives will vary, but they will share a common objective: to rationalize your circumstances in a manner that preserves their own worldview. And here is the crucial understanding. You are powerless to halt this. You cannot control the discourse concerning yourself. If you attempt to intervene, to debunk the narratives, to set the record straight, you will deplete your own energy. You will be irrevocably drawn back into the very entanglement you sought to extricate yourself from. The appropriate response for the awakened individual is to permit them to speak, allow them to craft their fables, let them engage in gossip and speculation, and express concern for you if they so choose. Their narratives are, in essence, unrelated to you. They are reflections of their own anxieties, their own resistance to transformation, their own reluctance to question the paradigms in which they are immersed. As the saying goes, what others perceive of you is not your concern. And truly, it is not. You are not a character within their fabricated tale. You are simply yourself, traversing your path, existing presently, living with awareness. The remainder is merely ambient noise. The fourth point, they will attempt to draw you back into your former patterns. This can prove particularly challenging, especially with individuals with whom you share a long-standing history. Family members, established friends, those who knew you prior to your awakening. They retain memories of the former you. The individual who engaged in the social games, who reacted emotionally to the same stimuli that agitated them, who participated in all the customary dramas. And now, you have transformed. Your reactions are no longer the same. You do not become entangled in the same disputes. You no longer assume your accustomed role within the family dynamic or social circle. And this causes them considerable unease, profound discomfort. Consequently, what do? They endeavor to reassert your former identity. They will evoke past memories in an attempt to remind you of your former self. They will invite you to revert to established modes of interaction. They will contrive situations wherein your old persona is anticipated, and should you fail to comply, they will express feelings of hurt, confusion, or frustration. A mother might lament, "You used to confide everything that transpired in your life to me." A friend might lament that you are no longer the same individual, that you have relinquished your sense of humor, that you are no longer enjoyable company. A sibling might accuse you of harboring a sense of superiority over the family. This suggests the possibility that others might also undergo transformation. And for the ego, this is a disconcerting prospect. Transformation signifies uncertainty. It implies that established routines may no longer be sustainable. Therefore, they resist your evolution by attempting to revert you to your previous state. However, you cannot return. Even if you desired to, it would be an impossibility. Once the illusion has been penetrated, once the experience of genuine freedom has been savored, the prior modes of existence feel like ill-fitting costumes. You can extend affection to these individuals. You can treat them with kindness. You can spend time with them, but you cannot feign a different identity merely to assuage their discomfort. So, what is your course of action? You remain present. You maintain a loving disposition. However, you do not succumb to their attempts. When they try to ensnare you in an old argument, you do not engage in the argument. When they attempt to instill guilt in you for your transformation, you do not defend yourself. You simply embody who you are in the present, and you maintain faith that they will either adapt to this new mode of relating or they will not. And in either scenario, you persevere on your journey. The fifth point, they will experience discomfort in your presence. This is perhaps the most subtle yet potent of the reactions. When you have awakened, When your identification with the ego and its manifold games has ceased, your very essence becomes a source of discomfort for those still deeply entrenched in slumber. It is not that you are acting improperly. It is not that you are judging them, looking down upon them, or deliberately attempting to inflict distress. In fact, you might be more serene, more genuinely present, and more sincerely invested in them than you ever were previously. Something about your aura, your way of being, causes them to fidget. Why? Because consciousness is inherently infectious. When you are present, when you are not consumed by the incessant internal monologue, when you are simply existing, you create a void, a space of stillness, a space of awareness. And within this space, the egoic chatter of others becomes acutely perceptible to them. They become aware, even if only incipiently, of the clamor within their own minds. They become cognizant of their own anxieties, their own restlessness, their own perpetual desire to be elsewhere, engaged in different activities, or to assume a different persona. Your peace acts as a foil to their chaos. Your stillness reflects their agitation. And rather than leveraging this as an opportunity for introspection regarding their own modes of existence, the ego's initial impulse is to assign blame to you for their discomfort. It is deemed your fault that they feel this way. You are excessively serious. You are too tranquil. You are too reserved. There must be something amiss with you if you are not as anxious, as occupied, and as troubled as they are. You may observe individuals who are disinclined to share silence with you. They fill every pause with conversation. They inquire about your thoughts, about what troubles you, about the reason for your quietude. They interpret your presence as an indication of judgment when it is, in reality, simply presence. They project their own disquietude with stillness, with silence, with the mere act of being, onto you. And herein lies the exquisite paradox. The very element that instills discomfort in them, your awakened presence, is precisely what they require. Your stillness beckons them to embrace stillness. Your peace offers them the potential for serenity. Your liberty demonstrates that liberation is attainable. However, the ego vigorously resists this invitation. To accept it would signify the dissolution of the ego. It would necessitate the relinquishment of all pretense, all narratives, all desperate attempts to validate its own existence. Consequently, some individuals will simply avoid you. They will devise pretexts to abstain from spending time with you. They will gradually recede from your life. And this is acceptable. You cannot compel anyone to awaken. You cannot forcibly usher them into awareness. All that you can do is embody your authentic self and trust that those who are prepared will be drawn to what you represent. Others may accuse you of being judgmental. Despite your complete absence of judgment towards them, they experience a sense of being judged simply by being in the proximity of someone no longer participating in the established games. Your very existence implicitly questions their choices, even though you remain silent regarding them. This is a manifestation of projection. They judge themselves and subsequently attribute that self-judgment to you. The response of the awakened individual is one of profound compassion, born from the recollection of what it was like to be asleep. You recall the persistent anxiety, the compulsion to defend oneself, the exhausting endeavor of assuming a fabricated identity. You remember the profound discomfort experienced in the company of anyone who appeared to possess that which you were fervently seeking. Therefore, you do not internalize their discomfort. You do not assign it any personal significance. You simply continue to be present, to extend kindness, and to remain accessible should they wish to converse. or to share a moment of quietude. Now, it is crucial to comprehend a fundamental aspect regarding all 5 of these reactions. They are not intrinsically about you. They pertain to the individual's engagement with their own ego. When you awaken, you become a reflective surface. And what individuals perceive in that reflection is not you. It is their own being. They witness their own fears, their own reluctance, their own attachment to the game they are playing. Some will gaze into the mirror and feel invigorated. They will desire to understand your discovery. They will pose questions. They will express curiosity about the serenity you seem to possess. These are the individuals who are receptive, who are beginning their own journey of awakening. They recognize in you something they have been searching for, even if they cannot yet articulate its nature. However, others will look into the mirror and feel threatened, and they will respond in one or more of the ways we have discussed. They will demand explanations, subject you to tests, spread rumors about you, attempt to revert you to your former self, or simply feel uneasy in your vicinity. And all of this is merely the ego's mechanism for self-preservation against the possibility of change. The woman who glares at you in the grocery establishment is not truly perceiving you. She is observing her own internal disquietude mirrored back at her. The colleague who consistently criticizes your work is not genuinely reacting to your actions. He is responding to the implications your mode of being has for his own. The family member who accuses you of harboring a sense of superiority over others is not speaking about you. They are articulating their own insecurities, their own apprehension regarding transformation. Secondly, you maintain compassion because you understand that a state of unconsciousness is synonymous with suffering. You comprehend the sensation of being ensnared by the ego's gaze, the persistent low-grade anxiety, the perpetual need for self-defense against perceived threats. Therefore, when individuals react to you in these ways, you perceive the underlying reality, a plea for assistance, a desperate attempt to preserve the only conception of self they recognize. Thirdly, you refrain from diminishing your radiance to foster comfort in others. This is of paramount importance. Out of a sense of kindness, you might be tempted to revert to participating in some of the old games, to feign continued slumber, simply to integrate, to avoid causing disruption. However, this serves no beneficial purpose. Your inner light, your awakened consciousness, is a gift to the world, even when it causes individuals discomfort, especially when it does, because that discomfort represents the initial step toward questioning, toward awakening. Fourthly, you place your trust in the unfolding process. You recognize that awakening is not something you can bestow upon another. They must discover it independently. Your role is not to awaken anyone else. Your sole responsibility is to be awake yourself. And by being awake, by living from a place of presence and tranquility, you offer a tangible possibility. You demonstrate that an alternative existence is accessible. What individuals choose to do with that possibility is entirely their prerogative. And fifthly, you retain your sense of humor regarding the entire affair. It is, in essence, rather amusing, is it not? The grand cosmic jest of existence. Here we are, consciousness masquerading as distinct individuals, egos clashing with other egos, all of us forgetting that we are but a single entity observing itself through myriad perspectives. When this realization dawns, when the joke is truly grasped, an irrepressible laughter ensues, not at others, but with them. For we are all participants in this preposterous theatrical production. You see, The irritation that individuals experience is not a problem requiring a resolution. It is an intrinsic component of the process. It is instrumental in the dissemination of awakening. One individual awakens, and their presence generates reverberations. Some individuals utilize these reverberations as a springboard toward their own awakening. Others resist them, erect barriers against them, feign ignorance of their impact. But the reverberations persist. The presence endures. The light continues to radiate. And here lies the ultimate secret. The more you disengage from concern regarding these reactions, the more potent your presence becomes. When you are attempting to prove a point, to persuade others, to compel them to comprehend, you remain ensnared in the ego's game. However, when you simply exist, when you navigate your existence with presence and serenity, devoid of any ulterior motive, without any need for external validation or approval, that is when true magic unfolds. For at that juncture, you are no longer engaged in the game at all. You are not striving for victory. You are not defending yourself. You are not even endeavoring to awaken anyone. You are merely being. And being is the most formidable force in the universe. Being is what the ego cannot withstand. Being is what gradually dissipates all pretense, all fabricated narratives, all desperate attempts to establish a distinguished identity. Therefore, permit them to react. Allow them to demand explanations. Let them test you. Let them spread rumors. Allow them to attempt to draw you back. Let them feel uncomfortable. It is all an integral part of the intricate choreography. It is all a facet of the grand performance. And you simply continue to be present, aware, and free. You traverse the world like water flowing around rocks, like wind rustling through trees, like light piercing the darkness, not imposing, not resisting, simply flowing, simply being. And within that simple act of being, you offer the most profound instruction of all, an instruction devoid of words, a teaching that defies explanation, a teaching that provokes every ego it encounters because it illustrates without utterance that the emperor is indeed unclothed, that the game we are all engaged in is merely a game, that beneath all the roles, the masks, and the narratives, there exists simply this presence, this awareness, this being. And that, my companions, is quite